Hello friends, here I am with new story. I hope you all like the video and subscribe to my channel. So let's start the video with summary. His mother was wisdom and his paternal family are the elements with a never-seen combination of lineage. As if being the only child of Roman and Greek relations to be born from an Olympian was not enough, he is the grandson of the storm, and great-grandson of the moon and the sun. With such lineage he will take the world by storm. Good Zeus, Naruto harem incest, Shinto Uchiha Naruto. Prologue. People talking. Wave angry gods talking. Wave people thinking. Wave Biju angry gods thinking. Wave jutsu technique. Wave. Athena was tired of her temperamental father, tired of her troublesome family, and most of all tired of not finding anything new to learn. One day decided to go out of the Greek domains and get a little vacation, calling in a favor from her friend Omoike, the Shinto god of wisdom and intelligence. She is given an audience with Hikari, the patron goddess of the Shinto pantheon. A month later she went to the meeting with the pantheon to have her audience and see if she could be accepted to learn more about their domain. After talking to the Shinto gods to see if she could learn more about their culture, she is given the opportunity of going to the Shinto hidden lands called the elemental nations that is protected by divine barrier so mortals can't pass through it. It was decided that she could pass at most 5 months per visit because she, unlike other Greek gods, has good relations with the Shinto pantheon. Athena's POV of her time in the elemental nations. I just arrived in the elemental nations and have been roaming through different nations trying to soak up as much knowledge as I can. This culture is really interesting. I mean mortal energies that let them use the elements at will and do other extraordinary feats. I gotta keep looking into this realm's history. Time skip 2 weeks. I just arrived at a village named Konohakakure. The architecture of this village is the most wonderful I've seen so far. The most impressive thing is the mountain they call the Hokage Monument. I mean, look at this, the stone faces. They are perfectly carved into the side of the mountain and it reminds me a lot of Mount Rushmore. With the 4 faces that are there, I'm guessing that the Hokage is the leader of the village. I wonder if I could perhaps have an audience with him. Hokage Tower. Normal POV. Hey, Hokage-sama, there is a tourist that wishes to have an audience with you, said the secretary. Kagami, is it okay if we plan the village defenses later? I'm really getting mentally exhausted from thinking so much so early in the morning, asked the Hokage. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Do you wish for me to depart from this meeting? Asked Kagami, not wanting to intrude. No, you may stay. We could continue after our little chat with this visitor, said the Hokage to his old friend. After their little chat, the secretary walked out knowing that she could go and fetch the visitor so that they could finish with what she wanted to know so that they could get to their preview topic knowing that it was of great importance. Hey Ms, you may come in, the Hokage is expecting you, the secretary said with a polite smile. After saying that, a woman walked inside the office expecting to see an old man, but instead she was greeted with 2 young gentlemen, one that seemed to be in his early to mid-20s and the other that seemed to be in his mid to late 20s, almost 30. Kagami's POV. I was waiting with Minato in the office to talk with the visitor and get it done quick. After all, Shisui is home and I need to prepare him a bento for tomorrow. With him being in the academy and all, that boy is a prodigy. The village is pushing me to accept that he be promoted to a genin in rank. I mean, he is 8 now, so I'll let him decide. After all, I was already tuning at that time, but those were times off. All my thoughts stopped. I thought I was seeing things. Right there in front of me was the most beautiful woman I've seen since my deceased wife. Normal POV. Minato notices that Kagami all of a sudden stopped what he was doing and had a faint blush on his face. This was the first time he saw the stoic Uchiha actually blush. He smiles and makes jokes every so often, but he's never seen an Uchiha blush. Minato got a mischievous smirk on and was planning on telling Kushina. He knew she would never let Kagami hear the last of it. Looking at the door, he understood why his friend was blushing. After all, the woman standing there in front of them was a beauty. This woman was an olive skin, with gray stormy eyes that seemed to be calculating everything around her, and was exuding an aura of power around her that showed her strength. Her posture was that of nobility, meaning she was probably a woman of a powerful clan or maybe even the daughter of a daimyo. Clearing his throat, he got both of their attention. Hey miss, my name is Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage, and this is the village defense strategist Kagami Uchiha of the Uchiha clan. May I please know your name? He said with a polite smile. She was impressed with her mannerism the man in front of her showed. After all, most man would be drooling over her at this point. though it was not lost on her that the so-called strategist of the strongest village in the elemental nations is blushing with an stoic face in front of her. Smiling internally, she thought that it was going to be an interesting meeting. She decided to introduce herself and not keep them waiting any longer. Hey, my name is Athena. I am a traveler from an island around the coast of Azunokuni, and I wanted to visit the mainland to learn the culture and see if I could learn the ways of the ninjas, she said with a charming smile that made Kagami blush a little harder. Well, if you want, I could have my friend Kagami here take you around the village and tell you a little about our village history. Keep in mind that this is a military village, so no village secrets can be disclosed to you till you pass a probation month to see if you would be any danger to the village, said Minato, knowing that his friend liked the women in front of them, and who knows, if everything goes right then him and Kushina can do a double date with them. 3 months after her arrival later, we see Minato, Kushina, Athena, and Kagami on a double date to the Golden Leaf. Kagami, Minato, Kushina, there is something I have to tell you guys, Athena said to get her friends and boyfriend's attention. Yeah, what is it, Athena-chan? Asked Kushina, wanting to know what her friend was about to tell them. After all, she is one of her best friends. Athena, Mikoto and herself got close during this 2 months. Mikoto, Athena and her always were seen together in the village when they were not out on missions. They were called the 3 goddesses of the leaf. The irony was not lost to Athena, after all she is a real goddess herself. Well, I just wanted to let you know about my real background. Just know that everything I'm about to tell you is the truth and is supposed to stay between us. It's okay if you don't believe me, but I'll tell you anyway, she said, a little nervous, something uncharacteristic of her. If one of her godly family knew of this moment, she wouldn't hear the end of it, especially from Apollo and Hermes. This got the other intrigued. Minato saw that this was something for their ears only and nodded with a look of seriousness. So with this in mind, he put a silencing seal and view blocking barriers so nobody can read their lips. Okay, so now you could tell us nobody is going to see or hear what we are going to talk about, Minato said with a smile. Thank you, Minato, I appreciate that. I really didn't want others listening in on our conversation. At this, Minato nodded with his smile intact. Well, now that that's done, I want to tell you guys that I am not really from this world. My actual name is Athena, yes, and I am the Greek goddess of wisdom, war, strategy, handicrafts, and practical reasoning, and I came here for a vacation from my duties as a goddess. I am going to be staying here for the next 2.5 months, and after that I'll have to go back to my realm, but thanks to the gods of this realm I am eligible to come back within a few years for another 5 months, she said rapidly, closing her eyes, not wanting to see their hurt and betrayed faces, especially the face of her new mortal lover. So, our relationship means nothing to you, Kagami said in a hushed voice. Were you just playing with me this whole time? He asked, feeling betrayed. No! She suddenly screamed. Never say that, you idiot. You are my first actual boyfriend. All the kids I have had are brain kids, meaning that I and their dads only talk once or twice. She said in a low voice. I love you, Kagami. This is the first time I have feel this way. I've always thought that love was pointless, but now I just feel too much emotions towards you. Even though we have been with each other for 3 months, this has been my first real relationship, she said with a few tears falling from her face. Kagami felt like an asshole, saying that knowing that she was genuine with her feelings. Sighing, he said, I'm sorry, but you have been the only other woman I have been ever since my deceased wife. I don't want to be betrayed, not by you, he said with a downcast look. Minato, seeing the mood the conversation was taking, decided to talk. Well, now that that's been brought up, I'm actually surprised. I need to know what you mean by brain children, he asked. Kushina looked to her best friend, wanting to know this as well. How can someone, even if it's a god, have children out of their brain? Athena answered that question nonchalantly. Well, that's easy to explain. I am a virgin goddess. You see, I swore on the sticks to remain a virgin, meaning I could only have children mixing my essence with that of my lovers via telepathy. In other words, I bring them into a Sherman skate where we mix our essence, then I get pregnant for a month or 2 and voila, I have a baby. Though the gender is random, so I never know what I'm going to have. The only thing I do know is that the kid always inherits my eyes color and some of my power and intellect. Also, I have an alternate side. Her name is Minerva. She is the more pacific one of us, but she's still on the militaristic side of things. Also, the kid always inherits the father hair color and more of his physical and the new guy's case checker traits. she said. The others were shocked at this, and even though Kagami was no pervert, he wanted to tap that. He felt a little sad about not being intimate with his lover, but he still loves her, so it won't matter. What matters most is that they love each other and she can still give him a kid as a physical manifestation of their love for one and other. That night the goddess was pregnant by her, and Kagami mixed their essences so she could have his child. 2 months later we see Athena walking beside Kagami. Athena was carrying a baby boy that looks no older than 1 or 2 weeks old. Walking with her and her boyfriend was little Shisui. He was looking at his baby brother with warmth, saying something about wanting to protect him from any bad guy that wanted to damage his baby brother. The little bundle in question had olive skin, midnight blue hair with astonishing stormy gray eyes. His little facial features look of those of his brother. He was another mini Kagami, but this one had gray eyes. This whole month has been one of the best for Athena. She got to be with her newborn and didn't have to worry about ancient laws or any other sort of that matter, though her time was almost up. So, it's almost time, huh? Asked Kagami, knowing that his girlfriend has to go. Yeah, said a dejected Athena. This baby was her favorite son by far, and her other favorite was her daughter Annabeth. She wondered how her little girl was doing. Her daughter was about 9 months old and she wanted to see her, even if it was from afar. She was going to ask the Shinto gods to take pictures of her little Naruto and send them to her so she could have every moment of his childhood in a photo album of her two favorite babies. Also, something she noticed is that when she carries Naruto, her and her Roman self become one in a sort of manner. Seeing this, she took some time analyzing Naruto's blood and found that Naruto was both Roman and Greek. There was something else she didn't know at the moment, some other part of his blood that had her confused, though this has never happened before. After all, he is the first child of Greece and Rome. Today was the day that Athena had to go back to her realm. Well, Athena-chan, I guess this is a goodbye. I'll miss you, said Kagami, a little sad that his girlfriend had to leave. But he knew it will be really far-fetched that he sees her again. That's the life of a shinobi. Today you are here, but you never know about tomorrow. Though he didn't know is how true those words were in his case. Athena smiled sadly and said, if I don't ever see you again, know that I love you and that you'll always have a place in my heart no matter what, she said, a silver tear running down her cheek. He wiped the tear away and with a sad smile said, this is hard to say for me, but live the rest of your immortal life with no regrets, and if anything happens to me, please find love again. Oh, and before I forget, keep smiling, you look beautiful when you smile, he said, making her blush. After saying that, they both kissed each other and said their goodbye, having a feeling that this will be the last time they see each other, not knowing how right they were. After saying her goodbyes, she teleported to her temple in Olympus with a silver tear running down her cheek. Time skip 1 month. It's been a month that Athena left the Hidden Leaf in an S-rank mission and no one has heard of her. This made her be on the MIA list of shinobis. Only 3 people knew who and where she was. Out of those 3, 2 of them were now outside the village because Kushina was giving birth to her first and only daughter, Mito Uzumaki Namikaze. That night was peaceful till roar. A bestial growl was heard throughout the entire village. Jumping out of his bed, Kagami went outside in his full shinobi gear to see what the hell was going on. Same could be said from Shisui. In front of them was a 9-tailed fox tearing the village apart. Shisui, go and get your brother. After doing so, go straight for the civilian refuge and stay there, no matter what, am I understood? He said in a firm voice. Hi, Otozan, I will protect my little brother with everything I got, said Shisui with his 2 Tomo Sharingans active and a determined look on his eyes. Seeing this, Kagami hugged his 7-year-old kid and said, if anything happens, know that I am proud of you and your little brother, and I'll always be with you guys no matter what. Also, I have one last mission for you that is more important than the village itself, okay? Said Kagami. Shisui's eyes opened wide because he knew that his father told him to put the village over everything, even his clan, because he always had to protect the next generation. Seeing the shock in his son's eyes, he said, this mission is to protect your brother at all cost, even if it means going against the village, always protect him. This is a mission, and one last request from me, take care of yourself too, okay? With that, he hugged his son and said, I love you and your brother a lot, my little soldier. Goodbye, son, grow strong and make me proud. After saying that, he left to fight to protect his home. Seeing his father gone, Shisui ran to his brother's room and picked him up, saying, okay Ototo, let's go. Don't worry, we will be alright. Running towards the refuge, he closed the door behind him. Once out he saw all the destruction and couldn't help but grimace looking down at his brother. He activated his Sharingan that now had 3 Tomo and started running, evading all the people and debris that are in the floor. Tired of doing so, he decided to go via rooftops. Once on the rooftop, he saw the chaos that was unleashed and wanted to help, but remembered his father's words, protect your brother, even more so than the village. With that he started jumping again, keeping his tears in check. Getting to the refuge, he stood there and met his cousin, Itachi. He was 2 years younger than him and they made good friends right away. Itachi showed him his little brother Sasuke, and Shisui did the same with little Naruto, stating that his brother was going to be stronger than that of Itachi's. Change point of view to Minato and Kagami. Minato, hearing his name being called, Minato turned around to see his best friend and partner. Hey Kagami, what's the situation in the village? Asked Minato, even though he knew most of the answer. Well, most of the children and civilians have been evacuated. We have lost a quarter of our shinobis and the shopping district was completely destroyed, with a couple of MIA and other KIA shinobis. He said this with a stoic expression. Minato grimaced at that. Well, the only thing that could stop this fucker is sealing it, he said, knowing he had to do a major sacrifice. Where do you plan on sealing the beast? Asked Kagami, not liking where this was going. I plan to seal it inside my newborn daughter, he said with a serious but sad face. Kagami didn't like that answer but complied nonetheless. With that, both left via their respective space-time ninjutsu to reappear in Kushina and Minato's house. Minato, what are you going to do? We need to seal the kawaii, so maybe we could seal it inside me again like that. I will die taking it with me, she said with desperation, knowing what Minato was planning on doing. Minato shook his head and said, no, Mito needs a mother and you could help with Naruto a bit. He is your godson after all. With that being said, she knew none of them were planning to get out of this one alive. Being the stubborn Uzumaki she is, she said, then I'm going to help you guys seal it so we all have a chance of coming back to our kids. With that, they all nodded. Minato grabbed Kushina and Kagami grabbed his goddaughter and they both teleported to the battlefield once more. Once on the battlefield, both of them went through hand seals and said summoning jutsu. Within a plume of smoke, 2 giant new creatures appeared. On top of the Black Phoenix was Kagami with Mito in his arms, next to him was Minato on top of Gamabunta with Kushina holding on to his back. Kagami activated his Mangekyo to cast a disorienting genjutsu on the tailed beast. After doing so, he and Minato drove the fox out of the village with the help of their summons. After a couple of minutes of fighting, Kagami gave Mito to one of his shadow clones and started to distract the fox while Minato and Kushina prepared the seal. We're done, Kagami, I'm going to start the sealing process, said Minato, rapidly going through the death summoning seals. Kawaii noticed this and tried to attack Minato, but is still weak. Kushina held him back with her chakra chains. Finishing the seals, the Shinigami appeared and said, why did you summon me, mortal? Minato looked at the Shinigami and said, I need you to help me seal the kawaii and my daughter, pointing at the altar where Mito was located. Okay, mortal, you do know the price is double because the kawaii is the strongest being, said Shinigami with a sinister smile. Knowing something like this was going to happen, Kagami stepped up and said, that second offering will be me, then we can't let that beast go rampant on the world. Hearing this, the Shinigami nodded and said, very well. That being said, Shinigami got his hands inside Minato and Kagami and started extracting the soul of the BU. With the little time they had left, Minato and Kagami both wrote a letter and made a blood seal that only their kids and the previous Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, will be able to read. In one last-ditch effort to escape his destiny, the fox tried stabbing his claws at the baby girl only to be stopped by Kagami, Kushina and Minato, who all were stabbed through the abdomen. Kagami with his last bit of strength put the fox on a major chakra-consuming, sleep-inducing genjutsu with his MS, Mangekyo Sharingan. Dying right after that, Minato and Kushina had little time. Minato sealed his and Kushina's remaining chakra on Mito's seal. After everything was done, the third Hokage arrived on the scene with a tear-struck face, noticing his last apprentice, his successor and successor's wife. The only one with a little bit of life left was Kushina, who gave Sarutobi 3 letters and said one last sentence before dying, my baby's name is Mito, protect our kids. With that said, she gave her last breath and passed away, leaving a crying old man, and an astonished but sad ANBU squad. That day all of them promised to look after the kids of these 3 heroes. 4 years later, it's been 4 years since that fateful night. On a house inside the Uchiha compound, we now see a 4-year-old Naruto practicing the water walking exercise on his family backyard pond. Kamen Ototo, I know you could accomplish the exercise, said one excited 13-year-old Shisui. After all, his little brother was learning an exercise that Genin struggled with. But throughout the years he learned that Naruto was a literal meaning of the word prodigy. His little brother soaked everything like a sponge and he had a photographic memory without the help of the Sharingan, something impressive. Look, big brother, I'm doing it, said an excited Naruto. He walked a little bit before dropping to the water unceremoniously. Ha, 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 laughed Shisui, seeing his little brother coming out of the pond soaking wet. It's not funny. I'm wet and tired. Big brother, can I take a rest now? Asked Naruto. Seeing Naruto tired, Shisui relented. Okay little one, let us go get you dried up and get you some poke. What do you say? Naruto perked up a little. Poke was his favorite. He liked sweets and poke was his main one, followed closely by dango. Shisui blamed Itachi for that because he infected his little brother with his addiction to poke. Walking through the Uchiha compound, very few of the Uchihas said hi to Naruto and others sent at him dirty looks. Noticing this, Shisui walked a little faster towards the sweet shop. Once at the shop, Naruto spoke up. Big brother, why do they look at me with that face? We are family, aren't we? Shisui clenched his fist and said, it's nothing little one, they are just being ignorant, just ignore them. They can't do nothing to you, plus you have me, Itachi and Auntie Mikoto. We are your family and we love you. After paying for the treats, they left for the park so Naruto can play a little bit with kids his age. Once in the park they saw their aunt. Naruto, being the kid he was, went running to hug his auntie. Hey auntie, how are you? I missed you. Mikoto smiled. It was always refreshing to see her nephews. They were some of the only non-constantly stoic Uchiha, which was a good change for once. Itachi is too serious for his own good, she thought. Hey Naru-chan, I missed you too. I'm good, by the way. How was your training going? She asked, knowing Naruto was a natural prodigy like his mother was learning stuff the moment they were explained to her. It's going great, he said excitedly. Today I was learning the water walking exercise. I managed to walk a little before falling because I was too tired. He mumbled the last part with a pout, knowing he needed to work on that and that the exercise was not mastered yet. Hearing that last part, Mikoto couldn't help but giggle a bit at his antics. It's okay, you'll get it in no time. Now go and have some fun, she said, ushering him to go and play with the other kids. Hey Shisui, how are you? Asked Mikoto, seeing her eldest nephew approaching her. Hey auntie, I'm good. How is Itachi and little Sasuke? He asked, wanting to know about his two younger cousins. They are both good. Itachi is training for his Chunin exams and Sasuke is home because he decided that he didn't want to come to the park, so I decided to bring Mito instead, she said, looking over to the girl in question. She is my niece after all, said Mikoto, staring at the little red-headed girl that was playing with Naruto. The girl reminded her so much of Ashina, her sister figure, that it was not even funny. Noticing the playing kids, she added, maybe the Uchiha and Uzumaki are going to become one. After all, they seem to enjoy being with one another, while stifling a giggle. On another note, have you already checked for his elemental affinities? Shisui shook his head. Not yet. I've been waiting till he completes water walking so he has the control required for most of the jutsus, he said. Mikoto nodded at this and said, remember that if you need anything, the Uchiha library is always near, she said with a small smile. 3 months later, it's been 3 months since that day in the park today. Yesterday Shisui went on a mission and depending on how fast he completed it, he will get home today or tomorrow. We now see Naruto walking up to Uchiha's hut house. Getting there, he knocked on the door. Knock, knock. Hey Naru-chan, said Mikoto, opening the door for Naruto and hugging him. Is there anything you need, little one? She asked him because he barely visited her, only visiting when he needed something. It was something he inherited from his older brother. They didn't like bothering, even though they knew they could go to her anytime. Well, Ani, Shisui told me to come to you to test my elemental affinity, saying something about he'll ask you later and something about our family origins, he said. After hearing that she knew what Shisui was talking about, he wanted to see if he inherited anything from her father and great-grandparents. Okay, Naru, come with me to the back. I have the chakra paper there, said Mikoto, eager to see which part of their elemental bloodline he received. It was not well known, but every few generations Susanoo, Amaterasu, and Tsukuyomi came down in human form to the Uchiha clan and maintained the main branch pure by reintroducing their genes in the clan. It so happens that Tsukuyomi is Mikoto's and Kagumi's great-grandmother. Amaterasu is their grandmother and Susanoo is their father. Only the direct family knew of this little fact, meaning Mikoto, Shisui, and Itachi are the only ones with this knowledge. Not even her husband Fukaku knew this. That's why Mikoto, Itachi is the best in genjutsu in the clan. It's due to Tsukuyomi's blood that runs deep within them. Same could be said of their Katen, Ritten, Futen, and Suiden affinities from Susanoo and Amaterasu. Both Shisui and Itachi have affinities. Itachi has wind, water and fire, while Shisui have wind, lightning and fire affinities. With this in mind, she gave him a chakra paper. Did Shisui tell you how it works, Naruto-chan? She asked. Naruto nodded and gave her a rundown of what he knew about elemental affinities. I see that little knucklehead taught you well. Okay, now then push some of your chakra to the paper and let's see what happens, she said, eager to know what his affinities are going to be. Naruto pushed a little bit of chakra into the paper, glowing silver. For a second the paper did something crazy. It got cut into 4 pieces. One piece got shredded into little pieces, another piece turned into a ball with little black sparks coming off it, the other got soaked and the last one ignited. They thought that was it, but all of a sudden the paper that had the lightning sparks in it turned into a little storm cloud with black lightning and a little bit of rain coming off it. Mikoto was more than shocked. This is the 2nd time something like this happens, the first time being an ancestor of them, but for the blood of Susanoo to run so strong in him, it was impressive. It seems you got father's bloodline. This storm really something very few have obtained. Not even your dad or I inherited that from him, she said, amazed by seeing her nephew affinities. Auntie, can you tell me more about my parents? He asked, wanting to know about his parents. Of course honey, come to sit. I'll tell you about them, she said, patting her thigh for him to sit. After doing so, she hugged him and started playing with soft locks, telling him a little about his parents. 6 months later, come on Naruto, you need to make it hotter, was what Shisui was telling Naruto. If you make it hot enough, I'll enroll you in the academy. Hearing this, Naruto's eyes opened, full of determination. It was common knowledge that Naruto wanted to be like his older brother, who was one of the strongest ANBUs the village had. Alongside Kakashi and Itachi, the 3 of them and a friend of Shisui was part of the strongest ANBU squad in the village. Team RO. Just you wait, big brother, I will do it in no time, were the words of one exhausted Naruto. Panting hard, he went through the hand seals one last time. This time I'll get it fire style, great fireball jutsu, called out his jutsu and controlled it till the point that the flames were a bright orange, forming a massive ball of fire that evaporated some of the water of the little pond in their backyard. After finishing the jutsu, he collapses to the ground, exhausted but with a little smile on his face. Well, that was impressive. If you do it again tomorrow, then I'll enroll you in the academy so you can start next week with the other kid. What do you think about it? Said Shisui, walking over to Naruto. Picking him up, Naruto was closing his eyes, but he managed one last "hi" before falling unconscious. It's been a week since that day, big brother. I want to be a big and strong ANBU like you, said one Naruto, excited that he was about to go to the academy. Hey, come here little one, I have something to tell you before going to the academy, okay? Said Shisui. Naruto nodded at this. Well then listen, Naru, you are going to be the youngest in your class, so don't listen to bullies and know that if it gets hard, I'm here to help you, okay? He said, getting a nod from Naruto. I hope you all liked the video. And if you all want the next part of this video, please like the video and comment 3 hearts. Please subscribe to my channel so whenever I upload a video you will notify.